Good evening, class. We're going to spend a few minutes tracking down some of the salient points for your quiz number 4. And thought I'd put together again this little review video for you. Some of you seem to think it's helpful getting ready for the quizzes. So I'll continue to do them for quiz number 4, and then again, I'll do one for the final. But just to go through quiz number 4, just remember that economic growth makes us wealthier, healthier, and happier. At least from the economist's point of view, those are 3 things that economic growth does for a society. And when you're mapping economic growth, remember, you've got the price level on the vertical, you've got the real GDP down here on the horizontal. Concerns with real GDP and fluctuations around potential output. And so if you listen to Fox or CNN or, I don't know, ABC, CBS, NBC, any of the radio shows that have financial programs, the talking heads are on there, and they are concerned about, GDP and fluctuations around potential output, because over time, these small differences in growth rates create large differences in output and the standard of living, kind of an exponential type situation. In short-term changes in real output versus long-term changes, it increases the economy's production possibilities and drives the economy's potential output. You want that production possibilities curve to be moving outward, be moving away from the moving forward, getting to those points where in the past we didn't think were attainable. And also, as that production possibilities curve moves outward, you're going to have a long run aggregate supply curve become vertical, and it's going to move as the economy's booming and moving forward and potential output is moving forward. That long run aggregate supply curve is bouncing to the right. It's moving out too. Output shift in the production possibilities curves shifts the long run aggregate supply curve to the right. So again, production possibilities curve, bolt away from the origin, keep pushing that thing outward. And as it bumps outward and we hit higher and higher potential output, we're going to continue to move that long run aggregate supply curve out to the right. They had a little formula in the text that we talked about. It was called the rule of 72. Talked about the years to double in an economy equals 72 divided by the growth rate percentage. So actually, it's a handy little formula. And again, you kind of got a formula. You're talking about a ratio. Got 3 variables. If you know 2 of them, you can take off and you can get whatever answers that you need to. And then also we talked about output per capita, and that's real GDP divided by population. And typically they think about this as the population of a global economy, or at least a country's economy. So, the output per capita of the United States compared to Ireland, compared to France, compared to Germany. And it's a way that they can actually compare the output per capita or the production increases when they're comparing one country to another, especially if the populations are different. And the authors actually take and distill this down into a pretty easy formula for you, like they've done with some of the other, I guess it was the exchange equation when they were, talking about the money supply and the velocity of money. Remember, they took it and they changed that one in from a multiplicational or a multiplicative exercise. They changed it into a addition subtraction type exercise. But they've taken this output per capita and turned it into percent change in output per capita is equal to the percent change in real GDP minus the percent change in population. So again, 3 variables, 2 of them, you're good to go. Economic growth is the economy's potential output is increasing. So we're growing as an economy if the economy's potential output is increasing. long run aggregate supply curve, potential output is vertical. So as we're increasing that long run, as output is increasing, potential output is increasing, it's pushing, not only is it pushing that production possibilities curve out, it's bumping that long run aggregate supply curve over to the right. Economic growth, as I said, shifts the long run aggregate supply curve to the right. Long run aggregate supply curve shifts left and right depending on the movement of potential output. So output is driving. Shifts in the output and the potential output is going to determine whether that long run aggregate supply curve is bumping to the right or it's bumping to the left. Changes in the long run aggregate supply curve, you've got the aggregate production function. That's one of the changes in it. And supply demand curves for labor. That's also going to cause changes. We talked earlier about changes in the labor supply. Again, you've got immigration, you've got increased population at the natural rate, you've got labor force participation, and you've got, again, increase in human capital. And I think a lot of economists may sell that short. I've always found that increasing human capital is a much more efficient way to increase productivity than it is to just go out and buy warm bodies. And then we talked about money, and it's a medium of exchange. It can be a unit of account. It can be a store value. So medium exchange, accepted as a means of payment. Buy a car, buy a beer at the bar, buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks, buy a Big Mac at McDonald's. Medium of exchange, unit of account. And it, consists of means of value in goods and services. If it's a unit of account, you know how much your car costs. You know how much that cup of coffee at Starbucks is going to cost you, what the Big Mac's going to cost you at McDonald's. At a store of value, an item that holds value over time. Money in a stock certificate, buying a bond, that's unit of value. And when it comes to money, you can either have an intrinsic value or a non-intrinsic value. And commodity money has an intrinsic value because it has a value apart from the use as money. $10 gold coin has a value of, at the time it was issued, it had a value of $10 as money, but it also had a value because it was the value of gold. So that's commodity money. Fiat money, it's money that an authority has ordered to be accepted as money, usually a government, usually a federal government. United States, it's a central bank. That's fiat money. Currency, papers and coins. Checkable deposits are balances in checking accounts, and they have no intrinsic value. All they have is non-intrinsic value. Similar with fiat money, similar with currency. Currency, if it wasn't ordered as by a government and it's fiat money, it's nothing but a piece of paper with some green ink on it. Same thing with coins. I guess with when they had copper pennies and there was some value of copper in that, so that could probably be commodity money. But paper money, really, it's just a piece of paper with some ink on it. Banks accept deposits. Depositors can withdraw on short notice, and banks also make loans to borrowers. If you look at a bank's balance sheet, assets over here on the left, liabilities and net worth over here on the right. And again, this is just basic accounting. Assets is anything of value. Liability are obligations to other parties. Net worth is basically assets minus liabilities. Checkable deposits for a bank and funds that the bank have borrowed from, say, the Federal Reserve, those are considered liabilities. If you look at the assets on a bank's balance sheet, it's money that's loans that they've loaned out to borrowers. And if the net worth of a bank is less than zero, it's considered insolvent. See what else I've got here. Oh, the last thing, and we talked for a few minutes about the Federal Reserve and the FDIC and deposit insurance. And a lot of that was driven by the Great Depression, so late 20s, early 30s, that drove the issues and the Depression. A lot of the Federal Reserve and the FDIC deposit insurance kind of sprung from those issues, trying to provide insurance for borrowers. And typically, if you've got money in a CD or money in a savings account or even a checking account at a bank, your FDIC is pretty much. I mean, I can't think of why it would ever kick in unless the bank became insolvent, and that's there to safeguard you as a customer. And that's going to wrap it up for quiz 4. Quiz 4 is pretty short, pretty easy. Next time we get together, we're going to be talking about the final. Thank you.